The Dale was the automotive scam of last century, but is the Elio Motors three-wheeled vehicle the Dale of this century? I had the opportunity to interview Paul Elio 3 times, mainly because of a hole, but I'll get to that later. Paul Elio had an ambitious dream: build a car that would be sold for under $7,000 and get 84 miles to the gallon. That certainly sounds too good to be true.
I wish I had an answer. There's like 8 or 9 things that we do well that all add up to that number. So there's not a silver bullet to point to. One of the ones though that's pretty easy to talk about is we are going to abandon the package system, right? The LX, SX, DX. The problem with that is if you want the leather seats, you get forced to buy the fancy wheels and the fancy stereo, whether you want to or not, right? So every vehicle comes with air conditioning, power windows, power door locks, and a stereo, because pretty much everybody wants that. And then the rest of the upscale content, we add a la carte post-manufacture. So if you want a power leather seat, we can get you that, or blind spot detecting mirrors, we can get you that. But we add a post-manufacture, so you spend a lot less money and get a lot more of what you want. So the CDA is about 0.26. So that's the CD times the frontal area, because that's really what I want to track. Because everybody talks about the coefficient of drag, but you multiply that times the frontal area, right? And so you can have something really slippery, but if it's got a huge frontal area, you still have a poor performing vehicle. And so that was really the concept, is by sitting 2 people front to back instead of side by side, we cut the area in half and we double our mileage.
Beyond the low price and gas mileage, the vehicle was to be built with the highest crash standards.
So it's designed the highest automotive safety standards. Well, first of all, it's not a small car, right? It's a full-size vehicle cut in half. So from crush zone's perspective, it's not small. We have 3 airbags, 2 seatbelts, anti-lock brakes, electronic stability control. So we're designing the highest automotive safety standards across the board.
This all sounds good, but where does the potential scam come into play?
So the 51,000 reservations provided much needed capital to get us to where we're at today, but more importantly, it validated the business. People didn't believe that you could sell a 3-wheel vehicle in meaningful volumes, even though it was $6,800 and 84 miles per gallon. And now with 51,000 reservations, people believe that this is going to sell in meaningful volumes.
That crowdfunding had folks putting down $1,000 to reserve the right to buy an Elio Motors vehicle. And that is where the potential scam lies. Back in 2017, the state of Louisiana, where Elio Motors has a sweetheart deal for manufacturing, took Elio Motors to court, alleging that Elio Motors was operating as a manufacturer and dealer of recreational products without a license. To make matters worse for Elio Motors, their attorney could not tell where the $27.8 million in reservations was. Beyond this, at the time, Elio Motors needed $376 million just to stay in business. In 2021, Elio Motors did announce that they would make an EV with a price twice as expensive as the original concept. However, since late 2021, no updates on the vehicle have been posted on their website or Facebook page. So has Elio Motors scammed tens of thousands of people out of cash? Is it the Dale of this century? There are a lot of similarities with the Dale and Elio Motors. Both are 3-wheeled vehicle concepts claiming incredible gas mileage and a low price. Both had legal troubles and states came after them for operating without a license.
When I was 8 years old, I used to daydream about a company called Elio Motors. And as I matured, I realized that was about as likely as playing in the NFL. So I got my engineering degree at General Motors Institute, now Kettering, and figured I could work in the industry, and that's as close as I'd ever get. And through a confluence of events, it's actually happening. And so this is literally a dream come true, and to be at the Detroit International Auto Show, it's a big deal for us.
The difference, though, is that Elio Motors is claiming that their reservations are just buying the right to purchase a vehicle, where 20th Century Motors was outright trying to sell the Dale. Neither has so far produced more than prototypes. Because Elio Motors used crowdsourcing and the way they did their reservation system, they essentially found a legal way to scam folks out of money. Oh, and what does a hole have to do with my interview? When I interviewed Paul Elio, I was running a blog that at the time was called The Sports Car Guys. We only wrote about performance cars, and as Paul explained, a hole left room for more performance.
Everybody around me is planning for a turbo. I know for a fact that there's some people at IAV working on a turbo. It's not authorized by IAV or Elio. They're just doing it because they love cars. When Kamau's wholly owned by Fiat Chrysler, and they're providing the engine line for us. And when they were presenting the engine line, they said, and we left a hole here for a turbo. It doesn't cost you anything to leave a hole. So I think the design's screaming for a turbo, you know, model year 2 or 3. It's fun to drive already, and then, you know, you up the horsepower a little bit, it'll be a gas.